You ready? Live?
Yep.
Hello, everyone. This is the Battery Park City Committee of Community Board 1. My name is Jeff Galloway. I'm the chair of the committee. We have, I believe, yes, we do have two of our co-chairs, or our two co-chairs, Justine Kucha and Eric Flores, participating remotely. We have a number of items on the agenda today. Many, if not most of them relate, I guess they all relate in some way to Battery Park City and the Battery Park City Authority. First item on the agenda is a report from Excel Environmental Resources on the status of the independent community monitor. Laura Dodge is ill and cannot make the meeting, but Eric Mertz from Excel is here online with us. So Eric, want to take it away?
Sure, thank you. So as you know, we've met with Battery Park City Authority and their air monitoring contractor, Innovate. We went through the draft reports that they had prepared for the later months of last year. We made some suggestions for them to make the reports easier to understand and more easier to read. And they're in the process of going through those reports and making those revisions. One of the things that's kind of slowed them down was that we requested that they update some of their charts with regard to the PM 2.5 being reported over 24-hour time weighted average, which they're working diligently with the manufacturer of the software to get that done. So I did have a conversation with Innovate earlier today, and they're going to be sending the draft revised reports to us tomorrow. They don't have the PM 2.5 24-hour time weighted average charting completed yet with the manufacturer, but we're just going to go through, be sure that they've addressed all the other revisions that we requested, and then potentially make a statement that they're meeting the standards for PM 2.5 or getting the charts together, one or the other. And then we're going to discuss with them either releasing those reports and waiting for the charts, or releasing them with the charts if they have them. And that's basically all we have. We'll be getting these revised reports tomorrow, and hopefully everything that we've requested has been completed in these reports.
Okay. As I think everybody knows, the project work itself is in kind of preliminary phases right now. It is, I imagine, if you're right next to it, as at least one of our attendees is, it's very noticeable. But the real disturbances will be coming relatively soon in the future. And so, Eric, are you guys in what's kind of the timeline for having the monitoring data being posted on public websites, I assume on the resiliency website? Have you discussed that with folks and have a sense of when things will be available and sort of when your work, kind of monitoring work, so to speak, will begin in earnest?
We were granted access to the real-time data yesterday. We went through a brief tutorial on accessing and manipulating the data in the website. And so we're hoping to get ramped up tomorrow and early next week, and then we'll hopefully have some answers for you on some daily updates or weekly updates or monthly updates soon after that.
Okay. Justine, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you so much. Eric, thank you for that. I had a question that goes, you was talking about some reports that you're getting with P something, and you needed some data. What is that?
So there's two different there's two different standards. One for community standard and one for the worker standard. And
Right.
so the what we're having Innovate do is report both. And unfortunately, the software that they're using wasn't set up for the PM 2.5 on a
Okay, so the
24-hour.
particle matters. That's what I thought it was. Okay, so
Yes.
it's basically the size of the particles that are in the air and the dust. And you actually are trying to get the 2.5 measurement. Thank you to you. Thank you to the BPCA for going that low, because I assume the construction standard, the industry standard is 10, right?
Correct. So
Yeah.
yes, and that was one of the main issues we had with the monitoring and the reporting, and they are monitoring it. I took a look at the real-time data today. They're monitoring it. They just don't have the software available yet to create the charts, but they're doing that for us. So so we were really happy with what we heard from Innovate on this.
That's wonderful to hear. And the sooner the better, but thank you. And thank you for going to the highest standard, the 2.5 or lowest, whatever, but you know what I mean. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Jill?
Just to clarify, what is the difference between the worker standard and the people's standard?
So forgive me, I don't have a real detailed answer for you. What I can tell you is the PM10 is reported on a 15-minute time-weighted average. And then the PM 2.5, which is a much smaller size particle, is reported on a 24-hour time-weighted average. One is used commonly for workers, and one is used commonly for the public. So what we did was we requested that they monitor both and report both, so that we can be sure that both are being protected.
Does a 24-hour difference make it less, I don't know what the word is,
Yeah.
good for the people, so to speak?
Well, so it's basically, if you look at it, it's an average over 24 hours. So the average is less susceptible to short-term spikes because they get averaged out over 24 hours.
That doesn't sound great.
Well,
because
it's so that that's how the standard's been developed, and there's a reason for that, because the PM 2.5, if you recall back last year when we had the Canadian wildfires, the monitoring 2.5 PM 2.5 there was readings all over the Northeast that were exceeded that just from the breathing air. So I can't tell you exactly why PM 2.5 is monitored over 24-hour time weighted average. I can just tell you that is what the standard is. And of course there are I guess you would say we have instances set up where if a shorter there's a spike that's high enough over a shorter time, there is methods that the construction companies can take or have to take, where they either best management practices where they stop work, or they use, if they're the ones creating these the particulate matter, they can use wetting or things like that. But what's reported is like I said, the 24-hour time weighted average. That's the standard.
Yeah, I'm not sure who's standard or what it's standard for. But I guess my concern would be, are you saying that the construction workers will know in real time there's a spike that they would then deal with? Or nobody knows until that 24-hour average comes through, but the spike is not even in it necessarily?
Well, there, yeah, I can see where you're coming from. So the 24-hour time weighted average, it's basically gives you a number as you look at the at the real-time data, the number you're looking at is averaged over the past 24 hours. You can also get real-time readings at that moment. And that's being monitored, you know, in real time all the time. And so there is instances where if there is a spike in the readings that best management practices would be implemented, the construction would be, the work would be stopped if the readings are high enough, and best management practices would be implemented in order to reduce the particulate matter. And what we did with the reports was we tried to make revisions to these reports that would make them easier for everyone to understand, so that when any layperson who picks these up, it explains in these reports what these charts mean, how to read them, and how to understand the data, which is what we're trying to get to get these reports out.
So will we know if there's a spike by looking at the report?
Yes, what will happen is in the
Waiting.
report, it'll show what we asked Innovate to do was, if they have an exceedance, to identify that, as a bullet point, and then what their response was to that exceedance. Like we at 10 o'clock a.m. on Thursday, there was this such and such a spike, and here's how we responded to it, and here's how that spike came down. So that's one of the things that we've asked them to do.
Okay, that sounds like makes sense. Tammy, you have your hand up.
I do. Thank you so much. One of my questions was, when we're taking a look at averages and spikes, is there a way to document and chart like a consistency factor of the spikes? For example, is there a way for the community to understand and know that there's a spike at, let's just say, 10 o'clock in the morning, 5 days a week, that maybe 10 o'clock in the morning is not the best time that people should be out and about around it, or that you should have your windows closed, or maybe that's a telltale sign for the Battery Park City Authority, and we can say, hey, Nick, you know what? There's a spike every day at 10 o'clock. Can you please, adjust that a little bit more with either sound mitigation or more watering of debris, things like that, to have it be not only just a reporting, but something that we can take a look at. We're looking at 7 years of work in front of us, and there are many of us who are vested in staying and having it be a decent quality of life in and amongst the construction. So that's something that I think would be an important dialogue and opportunity for communication. And is there a way in the reporting to take a look at that and then be able to tag back to say, oh, well, they were pile driving at 10 o'clock every morning for the last 5 days, and that is why. So when they are pile driving in this area, which they're going to be doing for another 60 days, then that's a discussion point. I'm just trying to get a grab on more than reporting, but what action steps we can take from that information. Thank you.
I think that's a really good point. And in looking at the real time data that I went through today, I think it's definitely something that can be done. And I know that the people who are monitoring the data also have access to and know what the schedule is for the work that's going on. So that's something that I'll request of Innovate, and see if that's something that we can do. Like, I think looking over the last month, if they, exactly what you were saying, if they were pile driving every day at 10 and we're seeing spikes at 10, maybe letting people know we're going to be pile driving for the next 2 months at 10 a.m. is a good idea, or splitting up the work, or some other response. So I will definitely look into that for you.
Thank you. And Nick, note, I'm not
ahead.
saying stop said work. I'm saying ways to mitigate impacts and for the community to understand, so we can be better partners in the long run of this dialogue.
Plan your lives and to be able to plan your lives.
So yeah, sort of proactively monitoring the patterns.
Don't take the baby out for a walk when there's
Yeah. Justine, you have your hand still up. Do you have an
I
additional
do, yeah, I
question?
put it back in because both Jill and Tammy raised really good points, and I wanted to just follow up something on that Jill said. With the monitors that are for the 2.5 that are for the workers and the 10 for the community, I thought it was the other way around for some reason when you said it. But where are those monitors located? And number one, I mean, you know, in basic ideas, right? So is it going to be inside the zone, outside the zone? How far outside the construction zone will there be monitors? Question one. And then question two, how high vertically are you going to go with the monitors? Because when the owls pan the room, I saw some neighbors from 350 Albany Street in the room. And I could imagine that on the fourth floor or higher, they've got that question themselves. What's going to protect them from the dust? Thank you.
So those are two really good questions. So we're trying to schedule a site visit. We're just recently, got a contract approved. We're trying to get a site visit scheduled to get all of our staff that's going to be working on this out there to see exactly where everything is located. I can tell you, I don't know precisely where the monitors are. I can tell you there's one within each reach right now where there's work going on. I think there's 11 and 2 coming on at Rector Street for next week. But I'll take note of your question and get those answers. I don't know exactly where they are within the work area or the elevation that they have them set yet.
Appreciate that and appreciate your expertise as to what makes sense. I mean, I have ideas in my head, but I'm not an engineer nor an environmental monitor, so I don't know. But thank you.
Sure. Betty.
Yes, hi, thank you. I understand the reasoning behind measuring particulate matter for specific things that are being worked on in the moment, and those are things that you can certainly mitigate. Is there any effort made to put it in the context of what's going on a given day? Because we know that particulate matter can vary tremendously from day to day, depending on what's going on in the environment, pollution from other things.
Yeah, so it's my understanding from the discussions that we've had with Battery Park City Authority and with their air monitoring contractor, it's my understanding that they do have, they don't just have air monitors at each reach. They know the work that's going on at each reach. So it's something that I'll request of them if they can, within their reports, not only state, say on a certain day that there were several exceedances, but also relate that back to what the actual activity was. And so that's something I'll ask of them if they can do that. I know we did ask them if there is a trigger level hit where work needs to be, where a mitigation needs to be implemented, or even work needs to be stopped. We did request that they put in there what the actual work was and what the response was. So if they use the best management practice to mitigate, or if they actually had to stop work, we have already asked them to include what that work was at that time.
Yeah, I think I didn't make myself clear enough. Those things are important, and I understand why they're being done specifically for this job and by Battery Park City Authority. However, ambient particulate matter is a huge problem, potentially too. It varies tremendously. It's worse during the summer. It's worse during other events, such as when there are wildfires and other things. Is anything ever put into context? Because maybe the problem of a particular event very locally, when it's put on top of all the ambient problems, you start to hit thresholds that really matter. And so it's not really just the fault of the very local thing that you can mitigate, but the combination of it's just a wrong day. And if people are going to be active, their biggest problem is not what's going on in Battery Park City construction on that particular day.
Yeah, actually, that's a very good question. In my meeting today with Enovate, they did ask if it would be helpful to include. Evidently, the EPA has real-time PM 2.5 air monitors throughout Lower Manhattan. I think there was at least 3 or 4 in Lower Manhattan, and I suggested to them that it would be a good idea to include the data from those in their reports, because it's definitely would help in understanding if there was a prolonged period where there was an exceedance or elevated levels. It would be really helpful to understand if that was something more regional than local. So I did ask them to include that, at least several of the monitors from Lower Manhattan that the EPA has.
Thank you.
Those are good points, Betty. And as I understand it, there have been sort of baseline measurements that have been taken over the last year or so to measure, I assume particulates, but at least certain environmental conditions on a baseline basis, so that you have something to compare the project to. Do you, Eric, do you have access to that data, and how, if at all, does that fit into the monitoring that you will be doing during the project itself?
So I have not seen that data, but we will request access to it, or at a minimum request that Innovate show us how they're using that data. And that's something we'll request of them probably next week. It's definitely a good idea to have baseline data, and we want to see it to be sure they're using it properly.
Do we have other questions in the room? Online, I don't see any hands. So, oh, yes, go ahead.
Who's responsible for monitoring what's going on site? Is there an independent monitor, or is it the construction crew that monitors themselves?
Yeah, excellent question. So the person who has been speaking, Eric Mertz, works for the company that's the independent monitor. They are basically, they are paid for by the authority, but they report to the community. In addition, Eric has mentioned the name of the company a couple of times. There is a monitoring environmental company that's part of the construction project itself. So both of them are working on the project. But the idea of having Excel involved is to give additional assurance to the community that everything is being double checked, and they are basically answering to the community.
Great, thanks, sir.
Seeing none other at the moment, thank you, Eric, for coming by. I think we'd like to sort of develop a protocol for regular reporting from you all, from Laura, perhaps on a quarterly basis. And then if there are, exceptional circumstances that come up, on more than a quarterly basis, but just to have a regular reporting exercise going forward. So if you could alert Laura to that and see if we can fit it in your work schedule, that would be great. Tammy,
Absolutely.
The reporting, Jeff, needs to be more than coming to a meeting quarterly. I get that. But if we're basing it on this same type of thing that we did with the borough-based jail project, which this is even more consequential and huge, I would say that, monthly reporting, because waiting 2 months, 3 months is not good.
Oh,
And
that's a good point.
you can't see the baseline patterns. You want to see them more active, because ideally, according to what we've been told by the BPCA, they would rather move along quite quickly versus stretching it out. So the impacts are more of a more often reporting thing. So whether or not
Yeah,
Laura or Eric have the time to come monthly is one thing, but the reports should, if it was up to us, we want access to lifetime data. I know that that's probably not necessarily right, but we would love to see at least reports on dangerous times be immediate, and then a monthly recap.
Yes, that's a good clarification. I was speaking in terms of physically coming to meetings. But my understanding is the written reporting protocol was going to be analogous to what was going on or had gone on at 250 Water and going on with the jails. And I've forgotten what that reporting protocol is, but I think it may very well be monthly. Eric, do you know the answer to that? What your expectations are for your periodic reporting?
We anticipated monthly reporting, but we'll be looking at the real-time data daily.
Okay, that's good. Great. Thanks, Tammy, for pointing that out.
Can I just follow up to that, Eric? Then, as Tammy just said, if there's something that really jumps out, will you let us know that in real time or that day, not to wait for the monthly report? And how would that work?
To tell you the truth, I don't know how that would work. But I do know that the reasoning for us to be looking at the real-time data is on a daily basis is for us to be able to insert ourselves into what's going on site immediately if necessary. I don't think we anticipated informing the public of what we're doing in those instances, but we are accessing the data daily in order to do just that very thing. Just check that, ensure that if there's spikes in readings, that somebody's doing something about it. They're responding to it instead of just reporting on it.
Yeah,
But I
we
can
should
take
develop-
note of that and see if there's something we can do.
Yeah, I think we should think about a protocol for if there's an event that you think justifies your intervention, some sort of notification to, to Zach, the community board office, that's going on. I mean, we don't have to be micromanaging things. That's what you were doing. But I think we do want to be alerted if there are extraordinary things going on. Justine, I see your hand. went
Yeah,
back
my
up.
hand's back up again, because yes, that's exactly what I was going to say, is like, I think we'd like to be alerted as close to real time as possible. So we know, as Jill said, take the babies inside, close the windows, turn the air off, do whatever we have to do.
Yeah, certainly.
And all that. But also, who gets, you're gonna report it. Clearly you'll report it to the Battery Park City Authority, but you're gonna report it to us, the community board, and whom? To Zach? Is that the deal? And then, or is to you, Eric, to you, Jeff, Tammy, who gets the report? Like, we should have someone specific who gets reported once a month.
I
And
think
in
it's
an emergency.
I think it's appropriate for Zach to do it and then manage whatever distribution. Makes
That's
sense.
fair, just as long as we have something.
So it goes to the office like it would have gone before and then
Mhm.
gets distributed to the EPC committee
Yeah,
and BPC. It goes to both because it's environmental concerns.
it
goes
is.
to
No,
both.
it is. They'll understand it better, certainly. Yeah, thank you.
Mary Ann.
Then how about getting it to the people living near this spike? To tell them, get indoors, shut your windows.
Well, certainly, if there is a shut your windows, get indoors event, then the authority will need to be notified, and I presume that is exactly your plan, is if there's such a.
And then you could notify every building to disperse within the buildings. Maybe not every, maybe the buildings in a particular area first, we're close to it,
Yeah, I mean,
you
the
know?
idea, I don't want to speak for the project committee, but from my perspective.
I think, Nick, what we're asking for is for you to come back to us with the distribution
Have a
information
protocol
plan.
in place, yeah, so that you're not scrambling when the event happens.
Suddenly, how do we
Correct.
let people know fast?
Yeah.
Or about all these pregnant women and.
Yeah.
Tammy, your hand is still up, did you have a further
and I'll-
comment, or?
It is. My second and last comment is after we get the information, I'm assuming that the Battery Park City Authority is doing the same thing that they've done currently. They developed a separate website. They're going to be loading information on that, and that there'd be a place on there that all the reporting would be located so people could see that. We would do the same thing on the community board site under special projects, but I would think it'd be a little bit faster and easier to find because the Battery Park City has a Northwest Resiliency project set up as a separate site. So I'm hoping that the monthly reporting lives in both locations and
Yes.
whatever updates and things like that, and that it's not, and then whatever protocol that the Battery Park City Authority works out with Eric and Laura Dodge in terms of community notification and reporting back to the public, the protocol is then noted there as well. So we as the community board are not we are a recipient of the information. We will hold the information. We will help distribute, but we cannot be the primary. That is, the Battery Park City Authority is well funded with their staffing and their CCLs to do that. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I've been telling everybody who will listen to go to bpcresiliency.info. So that's the place to put it, so that people,
Yes.
one-stop shopping there. All right, looks like, we're done with the questions on this. Thank you, Eric. Look forward to continuing to work with you all as this, project, progresses. So.
Thank
next
you,
on the agenda-
everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, Eric. Thanks, everybody.
I think Ryan Torres is up for the BPC Parks Operations Spring Preview. Welcome.
Annual homage to
Nice.
to the meeting. I should just pop in randomly more often and, but it does seem like a year comes by quick. I'm not sure how to navigate
Yeah, give me
the.
a second, I'll pull it up.
Oh, thank you. But I'm not sure what the appropriate looking, I feel like my back is
Yeah.
to the virtual, but it'll work itself out, right?
Jeff, you were all very gracious each year.
You're on camera,
A couple years ago, I
right?
think we started this process
Yeah.
where Ryan comes in around this time each year to kind of give you all a preview of what to expect. The park's coming up in the spring. And looking back, she was here, sure enough, in March of 2025. So we thought it was a good time now as we're kind of gearing up for, believe it or not, but it doesn't seem like it after the past few weeks. We're getting ready for spring.
It will happen.
They're gonna hold you responsible.
Yeah. I'm happy to take that responsibility. I'm
She's a bizarro groundhog.
with you there. I'm with you there. It's been quite a winter. It's been a minute since we've had to do so much snow removal, right? You almost forgot for a second, but we managed it. So we're just as anxious for the warmer weather in spring as you, but
And
it
you
is.
did a good job.
Yeah, thank you. It is March, and so we really are, despite the snow still being there and some crazy temperatures, we really are thinking about like the next stage of what the parks are gonna look like. And so anyway, always enjoy coming here and chatting a little bit about what the Parks Operations team does and some of the things that we've done since we've last spoken, some of the things we can look forward to, which is just a snippet, in terms of all the things that we do and some of the other things that we've got going on. So happy to chat about anything in between. I'm thinking just this one.
Yes.
So just a quick agenda here. So Parks Operations, I think most of you know us pretty well, but anybody who might be new, just to give you an idea of what the Parks Operations Division is and what we're made of. Looking back a little bit on the things that we kind of did since we've last met, looking forward to the spring and maybe even a little bit into the summer about that. Quick chat about Wagner and just the exciting parts that we've had, and now that it's more or less fully ours to maintain. Some of the Northwest resiliency work, not any new updates or anything that's, not why I'm here, but just how that interacts with my team. Some of the things that are on our radar in terms of what's going on around the park. As always, I love to talk about our composting and our composting programs, some of the zero waste initiatives that we have and the ways that we really try to reduce waste around the parks, at both us as an organization, but also, what happens out in the public, the wildlife that we care so much about, and just how we can all keep in touch. So that's kind of the thing. And so just a couple pictures of my team, because that's who's really making the magic happen, right? So they're out there, smiling, and despite it all, kind of just cleaning up the parks in whatever ways. Lots of snow pictures this year, some Bobcat training and some other things. So this is just some of the team. If you ever see them out there, they're often in khaki pants and dark blue tops. Just know that they love, hearing your feedback, hearing, what you're seeing and anything that's going on. Feel free to stop and say hello. You can let them know Ryan said so. Stick there. Anyway, so the Parks Operations Division is actually made up of 3 departments, and that's the Maintenance Department, the Horticulture Department. We have a 3rd department called Shared Services. It's those 3 departments that make up the totality of parks operations, and ultimately our responsibility is to maintain the open spaces, parks, public amenities, and facilities, if you will, that, that kind of exist within Battery Park City, or what Battery Park City Authority is responsible for, maintaining. And so we have our maintenance team or our maintenance department, and so you'll see them out there. They're taking care of benches, playgrounds, play equipment, water fountains, water features, whether those are in the dog runs or in the playgrounds, the pavers, sand in the playground, all the light poles, the sinks, the faucets, whether it's in the restrooms or the community rooms, power washing that we do on the paths or in other areas. Anyway, we don't have to read all this, but you know, basically all the things that kind of happen on a day-to-day basis to keep the parks clean and moving and going. We oversee the bridges, both the West Ames and the Tribeca Bridge, and of course, we maintain all of the waste that's within Battery Park City when it comes to the public spaces and the parks. And so that is all kind of under the umbrella of the maintenance team. There they are. We're putting up the new pool table for Craig and the Parks Programming team so that they can do that. Yeah, that's in Rockefeller Park. And then obviously our horticulture department. So they're the ones that are dealing with all of the parks that we have, 12 or so, right? South Cove, Rector, East and West, Rockefeller, Teardrop, so on and so forth. They're doing the trees. They're doing they're largely doing the compost. They're doing the landscape, the bulbs. They have a really heavy hand in the wildlife and, you know, those kind of decisions, the hanging baskets. So tree pruning, mulching, weeding, watering, all of those gardening things. And so similarly to the maintenance department, just the horticulture side, they're doing the softscapes as we kind of talk about it internally. And then the maintenance team is doing the hardscapes. A little bit of the unsung heroes of parks operations is the shared services department. They're not really that public facing kind of, you know, team members. They're not the ones out in the parks doing the cleaning and the stuff. And it is a pretty small department, but what they are is the warehouse and inventory team. So they're the ones that are behind the scenes, moving the stuff around so the rest of the team can do it, or managing the crazy amount of in building storage that we have to supply all the paper towels and, you know, all the other things that we put out. This team also manages the facilities maintenance, so that can be elevator repairs, fire safety related things. So that's the Wagner Pavilion, that's 200 Rector, 6 River Terrace, all of those spaces. So HVAC and all those things. So not likely that you'll see them out there to say hello or whatever, but definitely important parts of it. Workplace safety, coordination between permitting and or the design and construction team also kind of falls within that shared service, right? So that this way we don't have to have everybody there, right? So one person goes and then they distribute some of that information. And so that is the team in a nutshell, if you will. So just looking back to some of my favorite things that happened in 2025, and this is such a small piece of it, but you know, you gotta start and stop somewhere. Had fun partnering with the American Kennel Club and Javits for the second year to compost the dog waste from the
Westminster.
What, it wasn't Westminster this year. It was, what would we do? It was the when they show all the dogs, when you can go
Different
visit.
breeds.
The
Oh,
breeds,
yeah,
the
yeah.
breeds, right,
Yeah.
the breeds, right. I forgot it was such a cute name.
Yeah.
Meet the breeds. We did establish a biodiversity working group starting last year, and so that's been a full year since that they've been kind of functioning and pushing some of our biodiversity, wildlife things, all those things forward. We did do a bird safe glass pilot where we, here on the bottom right, we kind of enlisted the help of our inner artists from our team and used some specific paint to paint some of the windows. This was at the the Teardrop restrooms up on the north. Not that we have a lot of bird strikes there, but just in an effort to just, you know, raise awareness around bird strikes. So we did that both in the spring and the fall for the migration season. So looking forward to figuring out where the next places are and how we can expand on some of that. We partnered with Stuyvesant High School, not only in our continued work with their work readiness program, where they visit us 3 times a week during the school year and usually during the summer. where those students literally work alongside some of the maintenance team twice a week and then the horticulture team once a week. Not on here, but I also remember, we partnered with Stuyvesant High School last, I think, spring or fall for a big volunteer day for them. And that was fun. We had tons of high school students broke out and doing a lot of things. So it was a great 2025, and I'm confident 2026 is going to be amazing as well. A quick reminder that starting on April 1, we do expand those hours. So during the off, cooler season months, we kind of shorten our shifts. That shortens the hours of the restrooms, the Irish Hunger Memorial, and other things that we open and close. But starting April 1 through October 31, we expand that. And so what that means is my team will be on site till 10 p.m. And so the restrooms, the Irish Hunger Memorial, and some of those other things that we open and close the pavilion roof, that'll still be opened in and around the 7:30-ish mark, but will be closed instead of 6:30 or whatever it closes. It's more like 8:30, starting April 1. And with daylight savings this weekend, it's just in time. We could all use a reason to get outside. So that'll be happening. Our lawns will be opening in April, which we always look forward to doing. We always help the programming team and the community with that ball field conversion, where we swap it once those fields are open. We swap it from, I forget if it's soccer to softball or softball to soccer, but that does require a lot of coordination with all the netting and the posts. Lots of native plants this year. I think it's almost 90%, or definitely over 86% of plants that we purchase are native that end up in our gardens. The hanging baskets that I think we've all come to know and love along South End Avenue will be returning this year. Earth Month is an exciting month for us. I think not just as a community, but the Parks Operations team especially really loves it. It feels like it resonates with us. To get out there and just talk about some of the work and how that relates to all the good things we are doing for our planet and this community. May 2nd, it's the first Saturday in May. I can't recall the date. Is I Love My Park Day. This is in New York State. Tammy, I realize I'll wait till I get to this, and then I'll get. I Love My Park Day is a New York State day of volunteerism, and so Battery Park City Authority does participate in that every year. It's the first Saturday. Last year we partnered with one of our local schools and had them kind of come in. So we're getting ramped up to figure out what this year's will be, but it is always a fun Saturday, usually in Rockefeller Park. We've got lots of bio blitzes scheduled for this year in an effort to just monitor that wildlife and watch them on what they're doing. Some of the wayfind planters that are coming. And so I know that I think we've talked about that, with other people, but obviously the planter part is what we're excited about, and how we're gonna, plant them up and encourage the, wildlife and people to enjoy those as well. In the upcoming weeks and probably for a couple of months, you might see my team out there deploying some of the various flood barrier systems that we have throughout Battery Park City. That's not just the flip up gates that we put in Wagner and some of the other things. There's a variety of other aspects to it that we have. And so this spring, we're going to be doing some of that practical hands-on kind of training. We'll make alerts just so that if people see it, they don't, they don't think anything's happening. It's not just practicing, but that is something that we're going to be doing starting this spring.
The West Thames Bridge Elevator being an example where they have barriers that go in front of that in case of a storm. So the elevator should get-
Protected,
Yeah, the West Thames elevator, the ball fields, 75 Battery Place, the office that we're at, obviously Wagner, we talked a lot about those, flood barrier systems. And then I am definitely missing one, but those are the long and short of it. So really just kind of narrowing down like what that practice looks like, how long it takes, making sure everybody knows what they're doing. So Tammy, I'm sorry, did you have a question? I didn't.
I did. I was going to wait until the end, but so yeah, I can wait.
Yeah, all right, I'll go through it. Yeah, and this way we'll do it. We were super excited, nervous, but excited to take over Wagner Park. And so when that opened over the summer, or late spring, we were, working really closely, not only with the design and construction team, of course, to, figure out like what are all these things and pieces and what are they made out of, but it feels like home. Again, it didn't take long to, remember what it felt like and remember what it was all about. And it really has, a beautiful space, and it's been fun watching Craig and his team programming and watching the community come back to it. My team has enjoyed not only getting back in there, but, figuring out the new stuff, right? There's a few more paths to shovel and clean and so on and so forth. So we've really been navigating what that new routine is when it comes to Wagner Park. As far as the Northwest resiliency work, again, the Parks Operations team too is navigating, when all these things are kind of coming up and going down and so on and so forth. It has impacted, our day-to-day operations and how we really kind of manage the parks and how we do our work. And so we've, been working closely with the design and construction team as well to make sure that, we're fully aware of what's happening and the coming and the goings of it. I think if you chatted with anybody on my team, you'll have heard that we kind of have this north office now that we're calling home for some of the team, and then we continue to work out of our southern side at 75 Battery Place. So we're in the Verdesian office in the north, and then our 75 Battery Place in the south. And so that's some of the way that we're navigating this and continuing to be able to do that stuff on a day-to-day basis without it interrupting so much. We're with the spring coming, working closely with the design and construction team on whatever signage is going out, some of the tree pruning and relocations of some of that stuff. Really narrowing down when some of these fences are going up. So what plans should we salvage? What's going to stay in Battery Park City? Some of the offerings that we can offer other parks like we did with Wagner. So again, despite the snow, despite the cold, this is quickly becoming a reality. So we're kind of just working alongside that. My team as well have enjoyed getting the newsletters. We get the same newsletters that you do, and kind of use that as a good jumping off point to ask questions. And I too encourage my team to check out the Battery Park City Resiliency website and remind them that there is actually really great information there. So it's been fun navigating, that new website and just seeing it from both sides. And so on our radar for the, meaning like maybe things that are a little above the day to day. And so I did hear a couple of conversations last year about the surface of the dog run, at Kowski specifically. And so that is not forgotten, and it is on our radar, along with the water feature, the pool, right, that fills up and then drains and that we're, yep. And that, and so that has not been forgotten. That is something we've been continually talking about over the winter time so that we can get ready to really get that going before we're doing it. So
Thank you.
yep, you're welcome. On our radar. The moat continues to give me a hard time at Penny Park, but I promise it is a top priority and we are gonna absolutely get it going. Obviously it's open to enjoy, just trying to figure out that water system just right is giving me a little problems, but we will get there. The teardrop slide is something that we're looking at to just kind of, not redo or anything that will continue, but just some of the connecting parts, just kind of looking at those now that it's been in place for a little bit, and then the decking along the water play feature, specifically in teardrop. We just wanted to do some extra work on that. So if there's anything else on your guys' radar, happy to hear it, either through Nick or me specifically, but like to throw these bigger things on here to let everybody know we haven't forgotten about them. I hope everybody is really aware of Battery Park City Authority's composting program. We really take a lot of pride in it. So another great food waste composting year, over 56,000 pounds of food was food and brown. So those are leaves, twigs, chips, whatever it might be that we've collected, then converted to compost, and then it goes back into the landscape. Just over 500 pounds of dog waste we collected in 2025, which also then gets converted to compost. We collected over 1,200 pounds of pumpkins. I think we're on year 3, I want to say. 4 4 of collecting homeowner residents' pumpkins. And then what we do is we take those and right into the compost. And then our holiday tree tripping, which I think is a much more well-known annual tradition, but we continue with that and right around average of that 1,700 or so trees that we were able to chip. Again, that ends up largely in our composting. Some of that we share with our neighboring parks, but one way or another, it gets reused in some fashion. So encourage everybody to, compost, especially with the new DSNY aspect kind of coming into buildings. So it should be stellar composting year, I think. My team especially, but Battery Park City Authority still keeps our eye on the prize in an effort to become zero waste. That's not always easy, right? When we're dealing with the public and a variety of people that are coming and going, but some of the things that we continue to do is we do waste audits regularly. That's not just our office. We'll audit the park and street trash. So the 300 trash cans that are throughout Battery Park City, once or twice a year, we will literally, kind of sort it just to give us a check. Yeah, just to give us a little check on where we are. Oh, we need more signage about recycling. Oh, there's still some, right? So that helps us inform it. That's one we did on the Esplanade Plaza, I believe in September. We partner with nurseries that we purchase a lot of our plants from. And we've established and we've piloted and established a recycling or a take back program for all of the black plastic pots. Not only do they take ours, but last year we partnered with Hudson River Park, I believe the Battery, I believe the Greenwood Cemetery. Anyway, a few parks brought all their plastic pots to us so that these nurseries just came to us and then we gave them back. And so those plastic pots, which are hard, if not impossible to recycle, are then being reused for new plants. So that was a long time coming, but excited about that. We had an internal project.
The pumpkins.
That was our pumpkin smash. So we did an internal thing where we had a fun time with our team and helped the composting efforts because we do have to, squash those pumpkins before they go in. But this year we did a pumpkin smash, which was just, again, a fun internal lesson kind of moments, to do and Native Bee Hotels and all the other, reusing some of the stuff that maybe normally wouldn't have gone, hopefully not to the landfill. So, we continue to care deeply about our wildlife. So we really encourage everybody who sees something or, wants to get involved is to download the iNaturalist app, which is basically like, oh, this is a really great bird or an insect. You can take a picture, upload it to that app. As long as you're in Battery Park City, it'll immediately upload it to our page. It's a way that we monitor any new butterflies or new birds or increases or decreases or, oh my gosh, spotted lanternfly. Look at all these in the north, right? We can kind of, monitor some of these. So I really encourage it. My team also has iNaturalist app. That's the same process that we use, and we encourage our team to do the same thing. And so, yeah, the more information, the better it is, because it really just kind of beefs all that up and it allows us to use that data in a really informed way. Some fun biodiversity specific programs that the Parks Operations team is doing and or partnering with the Parks Programming team. Just wanted to mention it. We're partnering with Parks Programming for the first ever, I believe, Spring Equinox Bilingual Nature Walk. So that'll be really excited on March 21st. Our City Nature Challenge Bio Blitz. This is a citywide kind of initiative through with iNaturalist, again, in an effort to this, in this very specific period of time, everybody's kind of uploading information. So we'll have that in April during Earth Month. I love my park day, as I mentioned, because it's just a fun event. It's a real New York State, everybody volunteers on that day kind of initiative, May 2nd. I knew I wasn't making it up in my head. So
You got it.
more details to come, but it's usually in Rockefeller Park between those hours. We're coming to the end. Always looking for volunteers. We love seeing everybody out in the parks, and who doesn't love a couple extra hands to help compost or, weed and all of those things. You can become a volunteer on a regular basis. You know, we have a bunch of those that come every, you know, once a week, and they're, you know, kind of part of embedded into our everyday work along with the team. And then, of course, we continue to accept and work closely with corporate volunteer events. So, you know, we always have a handful or way more than a handful each year. So volunteering is always a fun opportunity, especially when it's nice out in the parks. You know, Craig, we're here, you know, I want to make sure that, you know, Craig and the Parks programming team and all of the really great programs that they do is kind of represented in this moment. And so our winter program is still out, but we're kind of in that transition, but it still has plenty of programs that are kind of happening. And a lot of the things that Parks Operations is either partnering with programming and or if we're doing something specific that seems worth talking about, it too lands in the calendar. So just want to make sure I, you know, plug some of that. And then keeping in touch, you know, if you see me in the parks or someone on the team, you can, you know, stop and say hi or give them your comment or your feedback. But I really do make an effort to try to share information with Nick and the team so that it can go on social media, so that it ends up in this, you know, in the monthly, I think, newsletter he does for you guys or the community, the parks happenings, right? Like that's me and my team really trying to give out information. The website, the emails, the info.bpc@bpca.ny.gov. I promise if you know, if it has to do with Parks Operations or my team, I do get it. So like, you can always send it to that. And then Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, which I'm embarrassingly not on, but again, really, you know, I do, right? It's a lot, but anyway, you know, I just want to say, the point being is that like, you know, we really do try to use these methods too, and these are good ways to just keep in touch with, not just what my team's doing, but with what BPCA is doing. Did I do a thank you? I didn't do a thank you.
You're
It's my
welcome.
last slide.
We thank you.
Tammy had a question, so I don't wanna,
Yes, go ahead, Tammy.
So I was going to ask, Nick knows this about fishing. I didn't see it on the list. And I was curious because the park has been raised, Wagner, where traditionally fishing has been done in the past. It's been raised above the sea level. So where and how are we doing Go Fish for the kids through, you know, not only this year, but looking out for years ahead? Is that a program that will still continue? And I appreciate very much you looking at the surfaces around that people have complained about in the north on that park. That's really important. We do know several kids who have gotten hurt and heard back from the community board itself. And then, is there a communication way? I mean, I know it's like, is there anything, it's stay up to date with updates, but is there a tell us what you'd like to see place on the platforms that takes community input for things that they'd like to see?
So to answer your first question about the Go Fish, it will continue for sure. I feel good about that. It's going to happen in Wagner despite the raise. I do recall seeing the programming team out there last fall as a practice run as to what they were catching. Unfortunately for me, but Craig really manages that program from the programming side, so I can get back to you. But I feel good that we're bringing it back to Wagner, and that was always the plan, especially with the overlook that we have now. So we can confirm that the program will continue. I guess the location TBD, but that'll definitely happen. It's a crowd pleaser. Yes, and I think from some of your other comments about, you know, hearing some of the concerns, yes, it really does matter. And I know sometimes it might feel, you know, it takes a minute, but some of the infrastructure and other components that are underground, some of these things, it does take a little bit of time at times, but I do hear the concerns and I do try to address them. And then as far as a platform for community feedback, I'm not sure I know how to answer that one.
Yeah, Tammy, do you mean like an online form that's like a free text field someone can use instead of email? I mean, emails or
Or an email.
I see, for observational purposes.
We'd be happy to help, like, do some kind of a form that collects information for what kind of programming would you like to see, right? Because there are different age groups throughout the community, and maybe that would be a really nice, diverse, broad way to, pull in information from the community. I don't think the community board should do it. I think that you guys should do it. And I think versus just an email, I think would be really, could be a nice way to survey, to do diversity in programming. And then lastly, the only other thing I didn't notice that I'm very curious about is how will from the South Battery Park City project, because now Battery Park City Authority manages everything from Wagner all the way over to Broadway, to where all of the resiliency work is done. So I'm curious to understand from a gardening perspective and from an activity and things like that, what the connection is between that space and the work that the gardeners do within Battery Park. Like, are you sharing resources? Are you sharing like, hey, this is what we're going to be planting in this zone here, so that there's, you know what I mean? So there's connectivity and sort of a holistic vision that is not only for Battery Park City, but that is shared with the gardeners and the team at the Battery.
Sure, yeah. So what I can say is that as the other aspects of the South come online, so Pier A and then the Battery, right, as you go on further, which feels a little out of the footprint of the normal Battery Park City, is that we are going to be helping the Battery perform that work in terms of the landscape, the wall, the deployment, and some of the hardscape or the assets, if you will, the lights and stuff that are along that flood wall barrier. So my team will be kind of doing all of that as well. So we'll definitely get the continuity and the feel and the vibe and all those things. And then, of course, we've been just beginning conversations to meet with the Battery regularly so that there's not some weird transitions, in between. But my team will be heavily involved in the maintenance and the upkeep of everything that.
So then comes the last question, knowing how heavily involved you are. And this may be a Nick and Patrick question. So I'm sorry for placing the stones going down the road. I do see some things when looking at the future that would make things really helpful. That's a big giant stone wall there that looks like it'll be fantastic for graffiti that's gone up. It's over the construction wall now. And for anybody who reports graffiti, what we don't want is for it to be forwarded to nowhere and be told from 311 if someone's reporting it that it doesn't actually get to the right place. No one anywhere in this city would think that that wall belongs to Battery Park City Authority. So I ask that the authority does some kind of due diligence to ensure that complaints that come through 311 don't get automatically closed and it's not our gig, and that somehow it finds a way to get to you guys for R&M and other issues, because I do think that that could be a potential that's going to fall through the cracks. And secondly, wow, wouldn't it be great then if Allied could help with the ticket hawkers?
Yep,
So,
yep, I think,
I mean,
yeah.
you're going to be managing the space. It's parkland to the sidewalk. And all I'm saying is, in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's go. Come on, Nick. Come on.
Yeah,
And with
yeah.
that, I'll close.
I hear you, Tammy.
Yeah. The flag about the all along the northern edge of Battery Place is actually really good, Tammy. So great, thank you for flagging that. Makes perfect sense as well. Having worked with 311 in my prior life and now at BPC, make a very good point. We get complaints that come from 311 for the most part,
Yep.
but the vast majority of what we are getting, that Brian and Patrick and the team we're addressing, are from within, obviously, Battery Park City. The common person on the street would make no distinction, I think, between Battery Park and Battery Park City. So, yes, maintenance complaints about the wealthy, they said that we're not seeing it. To get the 311 to make sure they're coding those to come to us. Because it is, for all intents and purposes, the wall at least, now BPCA's responsibility from a maintenance perspective. So great. Ticket hawkers, once that separate issue, I know it came up, we talked with actually Gateway last night as well. I mean, Councilmember Marquez is gonna be having a hearing on it soon.
Who what?
Councilmember Marquez.
Okay, thank you.
Introduce legislation, a hearing on it. Once the work there is done and our fencing comes down, which is getting closer by the day, although fortunately not there yet, that will open some of it up. But the larger issue is, yes, we can take it back. I don't know what the contract is shaped as, but Brian's the person to talk to about it. We'll see what we can do with respect to Aaron, what we can't. We want to make sure we can set the expectations appropriately in terms of where your AO is. Because it's outside of the AO, so we have to just take a look at it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I mean, I am always trying to think a little bit. I'm not the smartest person in the room. I just try and pull back and see, the connectivities. And I know, Nick, you're the perfect person to ask about the 311 connection. So I want to make sure that we get it on record. We ask early before the space opens so there can be a proactive plan versus a reactive plan. That'd be highly appreciated. Thanks.
Yeah, and don't, on the ticket hawker aspect, I mean, Nick, don't, from the authority's perspective, don't rule out the possibility of an amendment to Allied's contract. I mean, obviously, that would be additional work requiring additional
More people.
personnel. And we don't want to steal it from the rest of Battery Park City, but it is potentially an opportunity. Yes, Jill, I'll get you next, Mary.
First of all, thank you. I think we met in the dog park, and I gave you the tour.
Yep.
Also, your staff is incredible.
Thank you.
I love them. We always say hi and thank you when we see them. I don't know if this falls into your area. There's a detour sign going up that little hill to the dog park and the playground. So that people who don't live here, we in the dog park just watch them go all the way up looking for the detour that doesn't exist. The detour point, so detour means to me, this is a detour I should follow. So you're sending them up to the dog run in the playground. And they think they're getting out.
Right.
So I think that
We
we
should
might
look at that, yeah,
take a
right.
look at
I
that.
think that's from Port Authority. It's like little, I think it's a little sign on the railing.
Yeah, but at least like 10 people when I'm there for an hour, come
Yeah.
on, so.
I think it's funny. I think we were doing that in an effort to with the community, right? Because you can't get it from this way and then maybe didn't think about it from the visitor standpoint, right? Like, cause you're right, detour means,
Go that way.
right, like you must go this way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
we'll-
so
we'll-
we get all the.
Thank you. I'll take a look at that.
The other sign question, and I don't know if this falls into your area, is that also that kind of like the extension of Liberty Street when you go to South End Liberty and you're walking to the Esplanade. there's
Down
that-
the ramp.
Yes,
Mhm.
there's a horrible line corner, and people have mentioned this to me. This is one side, this is the other side.
Oh, I see. Just as you're looking to the left and the police memorial's in
Right
front of
where
you,
the police
right? Yeah.
memorial.
Okay.
It's completely blind and it's narrow.
Mhm.
And when the weather's nice, you have joggers, walkers, strollers, people with bicycles that should be on them or shouldn't be on them and are, and people walking, I mean, and it's very narrow. And I have almost, like, of course, I also got locked in the dog park the other day, so I may not be the best.
Right.
Anyways, thank you.
Yeah.
It was so funny you called on that.
I'm so
Oh my God.
embarrassed.
And I was literally about to run down and I was like, you know what? Let me call Ryan and see. And then.
Oh my God.
2 more minutes. My team was there.
And then she
They were
texted me,
coming.
she's like, I got out. I said, Ryan, abort,
I'm like-
abort. She got out.
I'm like, anyway, I don't want to talk about that.
Yes, I'll take a
I
look
am
at that.
Extraordinarily embarrassed to have.
That may be something, maybe we could put a mirror on it, one of those things. we-
Yeah.
Yes,
I'll
the
take
mirror, yeah.
It's not
Just-
100% of my scope, but I hear you and I
Yeah.
will.
I never see any security
Yeah.
there, which I know is not.
Right, yeah. But no, I'll take a look. I understand what you're.
But it's an accident waiting to happen.
And right, and I know exactly what you're talking about,
Okay,
so
Thank you.
noted.
Marion.
First question, if I'm walking around and see a hardscape problem, something's broken or whatever, how should I, and not just me, but anybody,
Yeah.
why do you want to receive that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been successful in my mind that it goes through that info.bpc@bpca.ny.gov, right?
Okay.
Because it really does kind of get distributed
Okay,
correctly, right? So, you know, so any observations,
Yeah.
graffiti, stickers,
Spread
pavers.
that around in my building.
Yeah, you
Right.
know, I'm happy to get it all, right? And I assure you, the folks behind the scenes that are monitoring those emails, if it has to do with my team or whatever, it 100% comes to me. And so this way with the email, you can attach pictures and really take the time to
Right.
talk about what it is you're seeing. But, you know, open to hear all the observations that you get.
Does that apply to like street lights in the park? Are you guys responsible for those?
Yeah, it depends where you're talking about, but if there's streetlights that you're seeing that are out in Battery Park
Then
City, you can get them to me. And if they're not parks operations and they're DOT or whatever, we do have, you know, connections, not like, you know, like whatever you want, Ryan, right? Like sometimes it takes them a minute even for me, but at least I'll know which street it is, so that I can get it to the right agency if it's not ours ourselves, so.
Okay, so I know there was a time when Battery Park City Authority took over Pier A,
Mm.
but now I'm hearing more, so I didn't know about this. What can you tell me? And what did I, maybe
Yeah,
it's just a memo, but.
Yeah, so, you know, so Battery Park City Authority is performing this work, right? So Wagner, the work that's in Pier A, and then it goes into the battery and up into
Resiliency work.
resiliency work, right?
Okay.
So- And so as good installer of things, right, we're gonna take on then also the responsibility of maintaining the things. And so, you know, yeah, so like, for as long as the wall goes, me and my team will go, like, let's call it like that.
And if things have to be deployed, it'll be Battery Park City Authority
Correct.
staff who do that.
Correct.
Horticulture in the battery, are they continuing that themselves?
Oh, sure, yeah, the
Okay.
battery's still continuing their work and they're continuing to do a great job that they do within those
Perfect.
parks, but just some of this new stuff and these new features.
That
we're-
makes sense.
We're doing a little closer coordination, and collaboration on the maintenance of it.
Justine, you have your hand up. You don't.
Jude,
done.
thank you so much. So Ryan, this is kind of you. You guys do a beautiful job. This is kind of Nick and, okay, so it's a different tactic. So interesting to me that, well, not interesting, but it's interesting to me that the, Battery Park City Authority through the Parks Department is taking control of maintaining the wall, Pier A, and other things that are technically outside of the 92 acres of Battery Park City. Great. Number one, that means that they'll be well maintained, they'll be beautiful, and you guys will do a great job. So number one, great job. Number two, think about who's paying for that. And think about that when the homeowners coalition or condo owners come to you and say, we are paying for things and we want to break. And that's not you, Ryan. That's not you. Please
Yeah,
no.
I
And I
understand.
also know it's really not Nick. He's just the poor emissary that's there. But think about that because we are taking on more responsibility and the city needs to recognize that. And I am glad for it because we do a darn good job. You, but you know what I mean? And so our ground rent and civic fees dollars go a long way and they are, you know, to date, they've been well worth the money, in my opinion. I think we're going to go through a hard period of time coming forward, but where else? You know, because you said till Broadway, which of course then it made sense because you're going back to the bottom of Broadway to the south. And I guess you're going to maintain once the walls are up and everything else across the West Side Highway and all up along North Moore as well. So we are taking on responsibility. And, you know, I guess it has to get fleshed out, whether that's Parks Department responsibility or just maintenance, which is not cheap, right, to keep the walls going. But please recognize that and acknowledge it and realize that perhaps there needs to be some, and you know, and obviously I'm speaking for condo owners. I am so happy, by the way, I don't think it was mentioned, maybe it was done offline, but I'm so happy that Gateway was able to come to a resolution to preserve quasi affordability till 2069. Thank you. I think that's a wonderful thing for those folks at Gateway Plaza. But I think you need to pay attention to the fact that there are a lot of people who are annoyed at the fact that we're struggling or whatever. And the authority keeps taking on more and more, and the city's not recognizing that they need to give the condo owners a break. So anyhow, it's a speech. I'm sorry, Jeff, I apologize, but it's a bit of a speech. I don't expect you to answer me, Nick. And, but yeah, so that was my speech. Thank you.
I just have one last, question.
Mhm.
Talk about what you mentioned yesterday at the BPCA meeting, and that is fees.
Our next favorite residents, aside from you guys, yes, so for the last couple of years or so, we've had a beehive in Rockefeller Park, and they have proven to be really great neighbors. Not just in helping us pollinate the local, trees and plants that are in Rockefeller Park and the surrounding areas, but has also really allowed us to connect closer with the community, engage with them in various ways, whether we're just oh, you have a beehive and some signage or some targeted events that we have. And so we're going to continue to keep the beehives in Rockefeller Park as a way to not just help my team, make the flowers happy, but, educate the public on the important role that they play in the ecosystem, and just really kind of, just talk about, the great outdoors in a variety of ways. So looking forward to keeping those guys in the neighborhood for a little.
Where do they overwinter?
They overwinter not, yeah, they stay there.
Right there.
Yep,
So they're there now.
yep. So we do have beekeepers that help us with some of these,
Okay.
tricks. There are definitely, right, there's definitely the right and wrong way to do things. So we do get the support from the beekeepers, but they're on site all year. So yeah, they're currently there now. They're not very active, but they are there, yeah.
Have you thought about doing any kind of educational thing for people who might be interested in beekeeping?
Yeah, we do twice a year, actually, usually during Earth Month and Climate Week, we do a Meet the Beekeeper. And so our beekeeper company comes and talks about the work that they do. They have the tools that they use and the things that they do. They even pull out the combs or whatever it's called and talk about all the things. And so doesn't exactly, answer that, but a little bit. And then, getting more people involved in how to be a beekeeper and stuff is something we can look into for sure too. So
Yeah, when
it's-
that event, I can pull it out
Fun.
of the calendar and send it to you guys want to
Yeah.
spread it across the community board as well. It's not just for kids, it's actually really interesting.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, they really get in there and
These
show you the
these do
stuff.
make their own honey, so, if you play your
Battery
cards
Park
right.
City.
That's right,
you
that's right,
are
yeah.
A Battery Park City.
I think at
Yeah.
some event of yours a few years ago, I got a little.
Yes, yeah. That's from our, in part, our local beehive has, helped
Yeah.
with that. So, yeah, they've been fun to work with. And so, yeah, that was something I presented to the board yesterday and they approved it. So we'll continue that. So.
Well, I just want to say, Brian, that, as Battery Park City resident, and I think on behalf of other residents and all the people that visit your parks, you guys do a wonderful job.
Thank you.
And, Battery Park City is spoiled and Lower Manhattan is spoiled to have those parks. You look around the city and parks are starved and people have to raise private money to have the parks managed in any reasonable way. And so thank you for doing a great job. Thank the authority for considering it part of their mission to maintain those parks.
Yeah, yeah.
Very nice. That's
I
very-
think Sarah might have been waving her hand.
Oh, Sarah? did
Oh,
you-
maybe you were clapping.
Okay. Oh, Sarah,
She
you
has
have
her
a-
hand raised and clapping.
Go ahead, Sarah. Sorry.
Just appeared and disappeared.
I just wanted to clap.
Thank you.
Enjoy
Thank you.
you.
I'll take those classes. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you guys in much warmer weathers out in our parks. And if not sooner, I'll definitely see you next year. So,
Yes.
thank you.
Ryan, before you leave, Ryan, I just wanted to say thank you. And I was actually bragging about your team today on the Battery Conservancy Board meeting.
Oh,
So we were talking
Yes.
about engaging and the Battery Park City Authority and some of the work to be done. And I did give you guys a shout out as being one of the most favored teams of the community. So
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Tell
no, I won't
everybody.
anyone.
Don't
worry,
tell
I won't
everybody, you're right,
See the
because they
video.
do a great job.
Ryan,
Thank you.
before you go,
Yeah.
I think we have a
Sure.
hand from Betty Kay. So
Sure,
Betty,
yeah,
do
yeah.
you have a
Go
question?
ahead, Betty.
Betty?
Are you clapping or is your hand raised?
Yeah, I
Betty?
didn't raise my hand at all. I was just clapping.
Okay,
Yeah,
your hands are,
thank you.
but you know what?
Appreciate it.
Jeff, are we gonna talk about dog and dog poop now?
Yes,
And
we
if we
are.
are, maybe Ryan wants to stick around for 5 minutes and hear what we're talking about. Maybe she has some ideas. If you can, and if that's our topic of conversation.
All right, so, Mary Ann, this is for you.
Yeah, I'm not surprised
Um,
for you to call my
we-
name.
Mary Ann has observed, and I think as lots of people have observed, there have been quality of life issues primarily related, the ones that we get the most complaints about are failure to clean up after your dog. And I'm a dog owner, so I do clean up after mine. But I'm out there walking and I see the same thing. And so I wanted to just have a discussion here of quality of life issues that people are observing, suggestions for how best to try to deal with them, and what role that we think Allied Universal has, Parks has, or residents of Battery Park City has. So Mary Ann, since you originally raised this issue, why don't you stop?
Speak. This was triggered by WhatsApp comments, mostly from the Battery Park City neighborhood. But some of the buildings also chime in on that. The first thing, and I did email both Patrick and Nick about number one, people say, I think you can do this, I think you can't do that. You have to witness it, the cop has to witness. Who does what? If we could get a little summary, even just post it on your website, like police can do this if they see that. And Department of Sanitation can do this if they see that. It bothers me a lot that people can watch it happen, take photographs, and then no action can be taken because the person who could issue them a ticket did not witness it, him or herself. So to me, that means legislation needs to be addressed, but that's all something to be considered. But I want us to start with facts before we launch into our
Okay, so
fantasies.
Patrick, you want to address what you guys can and cannot do?
The fact is that peace officer has to physically observe.
Right.
Present, observe. Okay, what it is. So, on the Poopa Scoopa law,
Mhm.
obviously, if he witnesses it, okay. One person's gonna take out the dog bag and pick it up.
If they see him coming, yeah.
If they, right, when they see me coming, which is fine, that's their whole purpose of existence. Same thing with Department of Sanitation, okay, they have an enforcement, and also, same thing, they have to physically witness it. Myself, being ex-law enforcement as a cop, I would have to physically witness it, even to write the summons back then. So, my thing is, if you see it, you know it's your residents in the building, and for some reason, God knows why. I don't know how people think because snow is on the ground, so they don't have to pick it up.
It's worse in the snow, it's definitely worse in the
It's gonna
snow.
disappear, right? So, all around the city, this is an issue.
True.
Because now the snow melting and that, and even the Department of Sanitation came out with, we have to witness it, right? But if you see it as a resident and I'm gonna tell you, it's your neighbor that's in the
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
You take the picture, send it to me.
Okay,
Send me the picture with the location and the time of day,
okay,
okay? When we get information like that, I'll put a peace officer in that area. And, let's just say he won't be so, visible.
uh-huh,
So the individual, it can be observed and he can write the ticket.
okay,
I mean, we do have
one
one
step,
individual that is still trying to catch. But then, we have their picture,
yeah.
you know, that ran away and in, and the doorman wouldn't give them up, so. He wanted Christmas envelope, right?
Yeah, right, right.
You know, but I
Okay,
mean, we know a person's happens, so when we get to see the person out there, you know, there's gonna be somebody standing in the
Casually.
doorway waiting for them to come running to it,
okay,
okay?
okay.
But, that's really the best way that I can handle it on this end. You know, the police department's not gonna sit out there and wait,
Okay.
and neither is the Department of Sanitation. I mean, you know, they're talking about walking around and giving out summonses for people not showing. You know, that's what they're doing right now.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Um,
so Patrick, and if I say, can say this, to answer it, so Marianne, when we talk and communicate this to people, it's not that the picture that they're taking is going to result in immediate action. What it's going to result in is we're gonna look for these guys or this person
starts a
that's offended.
record. No,
Yes,
starts a record
exactly. So
to
that's something
follow.
that's important on us to be communicated, but also the authority, if you've got something, I know you've got that Dog's Life post thing out there. Maybe that's in there too. If people are gonna be taking that step because they're so outraged, it's not meaning that Patrick or his people are gonna be able to go out there and say, aha, we're gonna come get you and pull you out of your house and arrest you or ticket you. No, that's not happening.
I mean,
And-
one thing that's unclear to me, is the sort of the nature of the perpetrator. And really what I'm driving at is it a very small number of people responsible for most of the problem? Or is it a large number of people responsible for it? If it's the former, then what you're suggesting, Patrick, could have some effect, because if it really is only a relatively small number of people,
Get drilled down.
getting those people enforced against could have a noticeable effect.
Well, they get a $200 summons.
Well, they get a $200 summons, but I'm thinking in terms of just the sort of community-wide problem, you know, whether you're just getting one of 1,000 or whether you're getting one of 5. It's certainly worth trying, to do something along the lines of what you suggest. So I think we should. I think we can help get the word out that this is, if you observe this,
Right,
do that.
right.
That
That way,
The key thing for me is the time and the location.
yeah, okay,
Because we,
pattern.
as dog owners,
Dogs have
Creatures of
pattern.
dog has to go at the same
Creature
time.
of habit.
Yeah. No, that-
I mean,
Yeah,
so, that's what helps a lot. I mean, sending me a picture about something that happened yesterday, fine. That's fine, as long as I have the location and the time.
okay. So one of the other things that I'd mentioned in the WhatsApp was cleaning up. You know that if there's a street that's very clean versus a street that's got litter, the littered street, you might drop your gum wrapper on. But when it's already clean, you might think twice. And so we have a problem. How can we get it cleaned up? Who cleans what? Like the
You're talking about
sidewalk?
regular litter.
No, I'm dog
You're
waste.
still dog waste. Okay.
Comparable attitude.
Okay.
Like I know buildings are supposed to clean up their own sidewalks. Sometimes on the side of a building where there's no entrance, it goes all the way around, like the sidewalk by the basketball courts and West Thames Park. Who cleans that sidewalk? Just throwing it out.
Yeah, I think we're talking about the same one. I think that would be.
Okay. Oh, one other quick question, Patrick. If you see someone on one of our streets walking away from what their dog has done, you're a peace officer who sees it could ticket that person. They don't have to be on parkland.
No,
Okay, that's what I thought. Just double
But-
checking.
let me rephrase that. As long as they're in Battery Park City.
Yeah, in our neighborhood.
Right.
We'll define the boundaries as the resiliency goes, but it's expanding
As far as the green.
on the upper end, yeah.
Yeah, on the.
Oh, on, and going as you go east. See, these are the little details that I'd like to get pinned down, but anyway, so like, does the authority ever reach out to building owners and say, you know, we're observing a lot more dog waste on sidewalks, would you please be sure your staff sweeps it up? And walk around your corner to the side of your building, like these things that they just don't pay attention
We're in
to.
general contact with buildings on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I can't.
Just a
pinpoint
reminder, I
specifically.
think.
Building supers on particular items. on,
Yeah.
like, where the sidewalk
Yeah.
ends, where they're responsible.
Yeah,
If there's
yeah.
something you've seen, like,
Yeah.
hey, if there's a
Can you-
particular thing
Can
with
you
this.
do an overall one to the building managers?
We can read out the dog waste.
Just as a reminder,
And as a reminder about dog waste composting. maybe.
and then if a building doesn't pick up their stuff, that they can get fined too, right?
I believe so.
But who has to find it? Who has to see it sitting there?
Sanitation.
That's a sanitation
That
one?
would be the Department of Sanitation.
Okay.
And, you're supposed to clean the street, your sidewalk every day.
Yeah, but like once a day, so,
You know,
you
we
know,
all know, I mean, at least I see, walking around the neighborhood and that stuff in the morning, usually, especially in the summertime, they're out there hosing down the sidewalk.
oh, yeah. But not so much this time of year, and it sits there.
Yeah.
There's, you know, so they just maybe need a little reminder not to ignore it. Cause you know, just have sweep it up. Most of it'll sweep. You don't have to power wash to clean it up. And my belief is if it's generally cleaner, people may think twice.
Yeah, broken windows.
Yeah, exactly. And then my other thought, and I was happy you mentioned the working group for biodiversity, is just for dog owners who are concerned about this and see it happening, to pull them together for a chance to talk to each other and come up with ideas. Whether they want to hand out a flyer about, you know, people who have dogs in the country or big suburban areas, they honestly let their dogs go anywhere. There's a, you know, some kind of ditch at the end of the street and they moved from these neighborhoods. Now they've got a nice job in New York City and they never really had to walk their dog and pick up. And so it's a little bit of a new world for that population.
You're overly generous.
I'm overly, that's one group. But then there's, you know, what, the master of the universe who screamed at me when I said, you shouldn't pick up the dog, set it in the planter. I said, your dog really shouldn't be there. What are you gonna do about it?
Nasty.
Yeah, but I know the call,
Betty has her hand up. Betty, did you want to
so,
comment on this subject?
Yes, well, actually, it's related to it. It's not just that. As somebody who has wheels, one, it's harder for me to avoid things because especially my back wheels, I'm not always
Yeah.
cognizant of exactly where I am. And if people are coming toward me, I have to veer out of the way, which doesn't let me also have the luxury of avoiding things as well. And I can't take them off when I enter my apartment or the building as people with shoes can. So this is actually a much bigger issue to me now than it ever was when I could walk. I want to say that, yes, the dog waste is a problem. I'm very aware of that. However, I don't want to exclude the gum. If you get into summertime, the people who have ice cream cones or good humor, and it melts and it drops into a big blob and then it kind of spreads out and it's actually a bigger sticky problem than the dogs.
Yeah, that's definitely, I can see as an issue. I don't know what the law is on gum. Is that litter? Is that?
it's litter.
Later.
It's litter and it's not
I'm
Singapore.
more
so we're
concerned
never
about the
getting rid of
buildings.
that.
I'm more concerned about this brown being sprayed down and cleaned. It's not a matter of
Okay.
it being done and looking to find people because that's pretty rare that can be done.
Right, with the
Yeah.
cleanup.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to
Yes.
stay there hour after hour.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Good point. Good point, Betty.
Keep your sidewalks clean.
Yeah, reminders maybe in spring again.
Thank
Yeah, I think
you.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, and around Rockefeller Park too, because that's where the ice cream trucks like to stay and you get lots of melted, especially on hot days. Oof.
Yeah, drips.
Yeah.
drips and drops.
Okay, any other comments, questions on this?
So is it possible for Battery Park City Authority to kind of pull together a working group on dogs, or how? I mean, I'll just put out, you know, to
Yeah.
think about a way to
We
approach
should take
it.
it back. I know there's the Dog Association,
Oh, sure, yeah.
which exists.
Yeah.
And there is,
Right.
Yeah,
one in the south as well, DPC. the other one, Christine, I forgot.
Dimick.
No,
Christine Dick?
no,
No, okay.
trying to count what it is. And still very well. But anyway, there's a Southern Dog Group as well, so maybe we can leverage whatever contacts you have and just start spreading the
Okay.
word. But yeah, I have no problem getting some folks
We
in
should
and
look
talking,
at
if
all
it's
this.
informal once a month or a quarter, just. Interesting.
Yeah.
Spread the word.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea.
Ideas.
We could have the dog task force, the dog run task force.
Yeah.
There you go, working group.
Working group, yeah.
That's new.
We
I
would-
mean, part of the problem is that, I mean, this is,
Zoning.
it is something of a seasonal problem in the sense that the snow for
It is
some
worse.
reason seems to make the problem
It's so
much
weird.
worse. I don't understand, there's no logic to it, but
If
it's,
it's just a New York
you know,
City thing, or if this is like a universal thing.
I should also say to the winter, not just the snow, right?
Yeah,
People
cold.
Trying to get in and out faster.
Exactly, the
Also,
weather.
winter months don't allow, not just my team, but maybe buildings, right? Usually they have those hose hookups,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But of course. during
They gotta
the month,
actually
you set
sweep.
those
It's not
up
as
so it
easy.
doesn't freeze.
Yeah.
there's not as many people on the street because hardly
Yeah.
anybody doesn't clean up if there's anybody there to
Yeah,
witness it.
yeah.
Right,
Not making
well,
excuses,
yeah.
just throwing in other
Yeah.
factors
Yeah.
that seem like this time of year. Yeah, but my
Yeah.
team too doesn't love the increase of,
Yeah, no, I
Nice.
just left behind.
Nice. And we can do more about the recycling.
It seems like curb your dog somehow has disappeared.
Do you know, people think it means control your dog. They don't mean literal, understand it means bring your animal to the curb. But it goes back so far in history, why, because we used to have people sweeping the streets, sanitation with a garbage pail on wheels, they'd sweep down the streets in the 50s. I'll say. And that's why if the dogs, we didn't pick up after dogs in the 50s, 60s, and I don't know how
I
long.
thought
It's
that
a newer
was
thing.
For law. and
Came
you just have
later.
your Dog go,
What came in
and then
1981.
people would just.
Is that when it came
everywhere.
in? Yeah, because up to then sanitation swept the
Yes.
But you would
streets
have your dog go
almost virtually
right by the
daily.
gutter and the sanitation truck.
That's
All
true.
right, folks, we can talk about this, but
The-
but I think we've had some good suggestions.
Yes, to move it along, okay.
All right,
We'll
so
do a summary.
next
Say
up.
thank you
Patrick,
to
committee
Ryan for
report.
staying. Sorry about that. And hopefully
Thank
she's
you.
gone by now, but thank you.
It's an important topic for me too.
Yes.
Thank you. Let me go to my last page here. Not this time. Maybe next time.
There we go.
Okay, thank you. All right.
All right, for February graffiti, there was no graffiti, thankfully, in 2025 and 2026. Right, the homeless, we only had 7 encounters with the homeless, and he's dealing with one individual, one homeless person, up towards the north end. Back and forth, and finally, he was directed to a woman bus, told about it
Oh,
and that stuff, and we haven't seen him since.
interesting.
So he hasn't been back since. Hopefully, he's accepted services from
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Park rules, we're dealing with 2. And of course, one of them had to deal with a dog, you know,
Yeah.
somebody lifting a dog over a fence. So vendors, we were at 0. And dogs, we had 2 reports on dogs. Okay, and that's for going in the fenced off area.
Mhm.
Okay, that was really it for this month. We're starting to see as the woman months come about. We've already had 2 homeless people come back. One of them was removed by ambulance
Mm.
this month, a couple of days ago. So, two young people, which is, sad to see in a way, but, they're completely ossified, so. That's really what's going on. The cold weather moved a lot of this stuff out and away, so, we shall see. I was also on, along with Zach, on the Downtown Alliance call. So there's no clear yet direction on dealing with the homeless, other than what we hear in the newspaper. So we don't know where the city's going yet with it, on dealing with encampments and that stuff moving forward.
Okay.
Betty, you have your hand up.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, for the last few nights, because it's around 1, 2 in the morning, there's a male that screams and screams. I mean, it wakes me up. It's loud screaming. So obviously there's somebody around. I doubt
By the ferry.
it's a house.
Yeah, that's this month up around Teardrop Park.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then-
he's, that person's over by the, behind the library in Teardrop, over there. So we're busy touching base with him, hoping he'll accept services, so we'll see what happens, moving forward. Okay, he does move, and, he is very, animated when you talk to him, so,
When you hear him, it's
yes.
scary, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
good. I just wanted to make sure you were aware of him, because when you said most of the people have left, no, there's someone that's there now screaming most of it.
And I know about.
Yeah, I was just referring to February. Okay, but for this month, they start to come back. I mean, the gentleman that hasn't been back yet, he actually wrote an email to me, one time. Very educated, obviously something happened that put him off. And stating that he used to live here, and the reason why he stays here is because it's safe.
Wow,
So,
yeah.
so that's the challenge that we're dealing with in trying
I just-
to have them accept services.
I just want to say, Nick, he probably was a condo owner in Battery Park City.
So
Keep
noted,
up
Justice.
those
Thank you.
payments.
Okay, any other questions for Pat? Thank you, Pat. So
Thank you,
Nick,
Pat.
you're up.
Good to see you.
So go back at the beginning here. Just give one more plug for my colleague Ryan Throws, who really is just.
She's good, and so.
He also deals with a lot of my kind of lunacy, so we have, the pumpkin composting that we do every year.
Yeah.
at Comstock. We kind of had a lot of fun with putting it out the first year. We called the blog post that we did Operation Pumpkin Drop, because that was a game drop. And the
Smash.
second year we had to come up with a headline, so I made like pumpkin drop, and I made the I pumpkin a 2, like they did with Very Jew to respect with the F.
Oh,
And the third year was pumpkin thrice, instead of pumpkin spice, I gotta start to get creative. But here's where I really went off the deep end, was this year was the 4th year, I said, how am I supposed to, what am I supposed to do now? And the lead for the blog post was for Gord and several years ago.
Oh,
This was so. And Ryan encouraged me, he's like,
okay.
oh yeah,
That's good.
that's really good. That's how great Ryan is. Not only at what you can tolerate that.
Yeah,
Tolerates me. Okay, so, good evening. I just started off here with, some pictures from our Valentine's Making Workshop on the, February 8th. Annual tradition and favorite of, folks who attend our programs. We covered this and we'll be covering it, soon enough again, but the Northwest Project, as you all know, is, underway in various locations as we ramp up what we're calling the site readiness work. We had a virtual session, which you've seen both in the newsletter. It's gone out this week as well, today in our external newsletter. Jeff and the team very hopefully mentioned it last night at the Gateway Association meeting. But Wednesday night, that's March 11th, it's a virtual session, and we're going to be doing, kind of a broad-based, community feedback session of the sort that we've been doing at a very specific building level, and organizational level of late. But way back, like 21, 22, 23, 24, and the project was still really kind of in the throes of, large portions of the design do, and these large town hall type meetings, mostly at Snipes High School and elsewhere. It's been a while since we did a broad-based one, so we wanted to make, sure we took the opportunity to do that. So not unlike what we're doing in a lot of the places, like drop-ins twice a week. And we do it obviously, but we wanted to take an opportunity to kind of zoom out and take a more, neighborhood-based, cast a more neighborhood-wide based net. So we'll be doing that on Wednesday night. Presenting some, high-level information about the authority for people who might be otherwise uninitiated, but then also taking some time to really let folks know where we are with the resiliency project, and then hear feedback about what your experience has been, where things are going well, where they're not going well, where they can improve, et cetera. So we'll look forward to seeing you there, and it's remote. You can do it from the comfort of your phone. I just included there some pictures in the middle of the page about some work that's underway in various portions of the neighborhood, including the marina along Albany Street, the marina at its environs, Chamber Street, et cetera. So more work is to come. I will note that it was in the construction newsletter as well. Starting next week is March 9th. We'll be doing, in earnest, we'll be starting the Tygate work at Rector Place. That does not mean the area is going to be fenced off just yet. It's going to mean, for those of you who follow for the next few years, you'll see a test pit. So it'll be a small little excavation with some hand tools, but that'll be what becomes the need then to do Tygate at Rector Street. That's not going to be until the next month or so. But if you see some folks out there next week, that's what that is. And then last month, we had the opportunity to do the first of what we envision to be 3 feedback sessions about the Albany Street and Rector Place street end design, which was the subject of a lot of interest over the course of the design for the past year or so. But we wanted to take a focus on it now and get folks involved in thinking about, hey, when we get to the end of the road here, we have some, it's not a blank slate, but we have some opportunities and choices to make about the things we'd like to see in terms of plantings and seeding and sign pallets in those particular street ends at the end of Albany Rector. And we're going to be doing a follow-up session there on March 25th, and then May 20th, both in the same place, 200 Rector Street Community Group. So in March, we will kind of come back with some design options based on what we've heard to date. And then in May, we'll come back with some proposed design based on what we've heard. 2 meetings at that point today. And I've linked there at bottom. It was also in the newsletter, the survey that we put out accompanying that first session in February. That's open through March 16th. That'll allow us to get all the feedback we've got both at the meeting, through the survey, and kind of filter it into the design options presented on the 25th. So for those who are interested in those, admittedly, it's fairly small bore on the project overall, but for the people who live on those streets, those street ends are meaningful and important to them. We want to make sure that we are reflecting what we're hearing as best we can.
Nick, let me just interrupt to emphasize that really. We've had a lot of comments in our committee meetings from members of the public and members of the board about Albany Street in particular, because we've lost the upper room. And there were some strong feelings expressed that the design for the resiliency project as it treats the end of Albany Street should have some functional similarity to what the upper room gave us. And I just want to say that if you weren't able to make that March or that February, whenever it was, the first meeting.
I think it was the 12th.
So let me just back up a moment. The authority heard our concerns and have asked for the community input as to what should be done at the end of Albany Street. There are design constraints because there's a tide gate underneath that needs to be remained accessible. There's a flood wall that has to cross the opening there that would go right through where the upper room used to be. But within those design constraints, the authority has asked for community input on what the community would like to see there. So if you didn't attend the first session, really urge you to fill out the survey that's linked here, and I saw the deadline was March 16th for the survey, and try your best to attend one or both of the upcoming sessions, because now's your chance to express your views on what you'd like to see at the end of Albany Street. Go ahead.
No, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. And Zach, you have that as well. If you want to throw that link in, makes sense to you guys, for your newsletter or whatever else, but sure, we can. Happy to take the feedback that we get and incorporate it into the next round of discussion. Our resiliency drop-in sessions are ongoing.
Nick,
Yes,
can I ask you
Tammy?
a question? Yeah, sorry about that. Let me ask you a question about that. I reached out to you after that last session, and there was a ton of, it was supposed to be a design charrette, and it didn't function super, super well. Some of it was because people were just screaming about how unhappy they were overall about the product. There were other people who were non-collaborative in the room, and it was not
Yeah.
as productive as it could or should have been. And it got a little out of control, not because of anything except for the people. We don't allow that at the community board. You know, we're pretty good about muting people or about, you know, saying that's inappropriate, please stay on topic and let's move on. And one of the offers I made to you at that point was perhaps at one of the next design charrettes, if you partnered with the community board and we did a community board public meeting style, we would be able to manage to get a really good design charrette with public comment in. We've done it 4 times for 5 times for Canal Street. Each community board did one and we did public meetings and it was tight and people felt heard. I understand there will always be people who will complain no matter what. And I understand there are people who are not happy with it. I'm not giving any casting aspersions on anybody. And I'm not saying that I love or I hate this, but in terms of functionality for information, I'd like to see perhaps something a little bit better than what we had before. Right. And with that would have been helpful based on feedback that's already been given, because the comments about Albany Street are not different than the very first charrette that was done at BMCC. The very, very first one pre-COVID that was at BMCC, and the comments and the questions about Albany were exactly the same. So at this point now, we're 5 years later, why is it impossible on a design charrette, knowing what the community asked for, exactly what Jeff has just said, right? By and large, right? Knowing the people who absolutely bemoaned the loss of the upper room, why is it impossible to have some sort of design charrette with people being able to express based on sample designs? Here's what I can do. Here's what I can't do. And having 3 or 4 samples of that and showing what it does and what it doesn't, where it can and where it can't. Instead of just this open free-for-all that turns out to be, quite frankly, not as productive. I mean, that's what I'd be hoping for and looking for at a design charrette.
I think that is the goal of what we want to try and do in the next session. Here.
I just find it miraculous that it couldn't have been done at all at any point, simply because we have.
I think it's trying to go backwards.
No.
Yeah, just sorry. I had taken control away. No, I hear you, Tammy. Let me just go back here. I think, yeah, I think the idea of what we wanted to do, the first session was, there were folks, I guess, who maybe had not been following the process, which itself invites, I guess, maybe another complexity, shall we say? Because they feel like, well, this is the first time hearing of it, which maybe for them it is, but as Jeff has pointed out, we've been at this and you've been at this for the better part of 5 or 6 years. So yes, I think there's always suggestions about how it can be done differently. I think the idea was, the first session was to kind of just brief everyone on generally what we have, what the constraints are. The second session, as I noted there, is going to come back with some design options. I get feedback on that on the 25th.
So I'm going to ask you to then go back to the design feedback that the BPCA has been given over the last 5 years, there was a ton of it, right?
Yeah.
I personally remember people saying they wanted something unique. You know, we don't want to look like the medians on Delancey Street, right? Battery Park City was known for its unique connection to nature and its artwork that people liked, right? We don't want to look like every other public space. I mean, the continuous, think about walking around Disney and Epcot, and all I saw were the same kind of ugly cement continuous planter seatings and stuff that we've seen. So I was a little on the horrified side. But right, so placemaking was really important. All the stuff that's been said for 5 years, I'm not going to
Yeah.
regurgitate it all here, but
I know.
it should be there. If there's any questions about what feedback was, I'm going to be a little surprised by that, simply because it was given at every single meeting, including in a letter that was also given to you guys last summer.
Yeah,
So
no, I know.
that
Letter gets approved.
there's been a ton of due diligence. So it would be really great when a design samples, not a sample, but variety of samples are shown, it is also acknowledged how that responds to the feedback that you've already been given. Because from two people who went to that March 11th meeting, I was told I didn't hear anything that hadn't been said in the last 5 years, which I'm glad that there were new people in the room, and I'm glad that new people who have never heard about anything about this got an opportunity to speak. But it's certainly a little bit frustrating from our perspective, where we said, huh, right?
Yep.
So that's my feedback on that, and I thank you for that.
Thanks, Tammy. Justine, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I do. Thank you, Jeff. So I was not able to make the last meeting, but I did go and try to do your survey. And one question I have, or one thing that's for clarification, and now I'm gonna totally mess it up, but it's the last question of the survey. Something about where the walls are and how far away from the walls, I think. Is it 0 feet? Is it 0 to 10 feet, 10 to 20 feet, or 20 plus feet? Or do you want to have the public space or public something? What does that mean? And I don't expect you to answer me right
I'm gonna have
now.
Michael pull up the question right now. Justine, you know Michael Ryan from our team.
Yeah.
I didn't know how
Yeah.
to answer that. I think I left it
Yeah, no,
blank.
so I mean, so what I did was, I
Because-
don't understand the question. You had to click something or it wouldn't take it, but it wasn't understood to me. So, and in furtherance of what Tammy said, because ditto to what she said, I would like to see at the next meetings, just more like what you've done before. And I strongly urge the authority to take Tammy up on her suggestion to partner with us, because there's a level of civility that we enforce. And I think that people feel like they have to behave a little bit better than they do with you. And I don't know why that is. It's not probably proper, but I think we can enforce civility. And I got the sense from listening to people, like I said, I wasn't there.
Excuse me a quick minute, Nick. Are you able to hear what she's saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, so that will be an important thing. But yes, if you're pulling it up just to look at it, it was
Partner
just, other questions made sense. I referred to the pictures, but that last one, and it may just be that I don't get it, but you know, I didn't
So
understand
what,
it.
I think they have that last
So the
question.
question is how far should we set back public spaces from the residential facades?
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
basically, so what does that mean?
Building is 140 feet across Rector Place and 100 feet across Albany Street in these locations.
Can I just say something
Okay.
about that?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead, the resident.
I'm going to interrupt it. Here's the point. There's no context for that question.
Yeah,
Right.
I want the
In order-
picture,
in-
I want it explained.
In order for people to have an understanding, you need to show the old space so they know, for example, how far was the seating area in the upper room from the two residential buildings. You're asking us a question in a void that doesn't have enough detail.
You're asking us to understand, whereas Alice, for example, Alice Blank might get it. Me, layperson who is spatially inept, I have no clue. And I
But
couldn't
even-
possibly, without
Even
pictures or
Alice
design.
couldn't tell you, because there's a difference between a 6-foot table, an 8-foot table, a 12-foot table, and a 20-foot table. And if you don't know where the old one was and how far it is, then no one understands that question. And it's no,
I know,
again,
yeah.
it is
Yeah,
not meant to
it's
be a
very
full
hard.
criticism, but that question alone is impossible for anyone to accurately answer without relative information. It's like saying, I'd like you to raise your hand X number of feet above. Above what?
Yeah,
Above where? How far do I have to raise it? You need context in order for the public to understand. Please, please,
And
please
yeah.
teach it.
And what is it that the expectation is that it's gonna look like? Because I guess I didn't put this in because I'm just thinking of it now, but I get that the flood wall barrier system, the flip up gates, whatever, and you've got stuff underneath that says, okay, we had to take down the upper room because it's gonna go right through where the upper room was. But why can't you put something in front of, as in closer to the water, because I think there's more space there, that would replicate it, or behind, once again, and these are movable stuff but yet that looks natural and fits in. Some of the stuff that you had pictures with the neon and the neon colors, I hated, but I said it all there. But that was one thing where I totally didn't understand it. So I would ask that maybe as you go forward and come to the design options for the 25th, maybe
Yeah,
kind of fleshing some of that stuff out. That's the point of my comment, not to smash you.
Yeah, no, I'll see if we can add some context to that question as well.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. We have a question in the room from a resident of 350 Albany. Go ahead.
Hi
I was
there.
gonna like to say a couple of things about that question and also, having lived on Albany Street for the past 40 years, I guess I have a better sense as to, what it looked like before and, what it can be in the future. But I interpreted that question to ask, how far away do you want to have away from the building, people sitting and, talking
Making
and
noise,
whatever?
yeah.
Is it 10 feet? Is it, 30 feet or 40 feet? We had at Albany Street a walkway that was gonna go down to the river that was right next to the building as a temporary walkway. Somebody in the building, I think, complained about the fact that it was too close to the building and, and then that walkway was closed. So, I think, part of it could be in terms of people concerned about the noise, in the summertime, especially when you have your windows open, people are sitting on benches nearby the building. Sometimes they're loud, it's not always the case. But I think that's an issue. I think, putting together some drawings, excuse me, drawings of what it could look like in the future, and then let people look at them and decide. I mean, I think that would be a good idea. This is not like, many years ago when I was on this committee, after the World Trade Center was destroyed, there were a lot of drawings were made that came before the Battery Parks Committee to decide on what was the best replacement for the World Trade Center. And, this is not that magnitude, obviously,
Yeah.
but I think that it might be good to give people an opportunity to look at, what could be here.
Yeah, that's the idea. That's the
And then
idea of
let-
the next session.
And maybe let people, have a vote or.
Right,
So
that's-
anyhow, that's what I wanted to say about that question.
Yeah, so I mean, I haven't filled out the survey yet, I admit. But hearing the comments on that last question, I think you're exactly right. That's what it was after, which I think is a valid thing to be asking. But Tammy's also right that people had something there before that they either liked or didn't like in terms of its proximity and didn't necessarily know how many feet away that was, so someone can say, well, as long as it's no closer than it was before, it's fine, but they don't know how close it was before, kind of thing. So if you could give some context.
It may be as simple as just adding some text to the question,
Yeah.
i.e., how far do you want people sitting from your window? For reference,
Right.
Yeah, the upper room was whatever.
97 feet from the corner or gateway.
Or
That
how
would
much
be
we-
helpful. Because in
Yeah.
writing after it,
Okay.
that's what I addressed in my comments, and that's kind of, I said, assuming this is what you mean, and again, and then I said, but again, I'm not sure it's the people in the building who should be saying what they want. particularly, and then I said what I thought would be nice in the area.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
all of this will be discussed at length on March twenty-fifth. In the meantime, Nick, let's go forward with your report.
All right, as I don't have very much more, I don't think. Let's see. Okay, sorry, so we're, no, yeah, go back one page.
We could just click the back.
Okay, great. We're doing our drop-in sessions, as you know, at 4, twice a week, Tuesdays at 216 River Terrace, and Friday mornings at 200 Rector. And I've linked there the construction newsletters that we put out on a bi-weekly basis. I've linked the back issues as well as the QR code that you can use too. Subscribe if you haven't already. We try to stock a lot of information in there, but make it digestible and presentable way so it's accessible to the layperson. And then just a quick transition here to the South Battery Park City Resiliency Project. I know we were here last month, or Angela Howard was from the team, presenting on the latest status. And just read up some of those bullets. The Wagner Park Pavilion Classroom was the host of the Battery Park City Authority Board meeting yesterday for the first time. We'll be looking to open it up to the public for events in the next few months or so. Just got to get the permitting arranged and get that out there and open for people to start renting out for events if they'd like to do it. The restaurant turnover, so the space that the restaurant will be in, which is on the other side, not the room that's shown there on the right, but the other side of the building. That will be turned over in the middle of the month for the firm to start fitting out for the restaurant. And the pier in the Battery, which is the final portion of the project, we're now targeting completion for Memorial Day to have that hopefully done and the fencing removed and that area and the final area of the project finally reopened, which aside from punch list items will be ball fields I put here, not because it's resiliency work necessarily, although it is now made more resilient as a result of our work. Wanted to make sure I give folks an update on the turf replacement project, which, as you know, this is the time of year we want to do it because it's between when the seasons in the fall end and those in the spring pick up. We've been slammed, as you know, this year with a lot of snow and inclement weather. Nonetheless, site grading is underway. You see a picture there to the right, and the turf installation is to follow imminently. We will be looking to commence weekend work starting next weekend. That's March 13th and 14th, and make sure we can still stay on and try to make the deadline of the early April completion. Weekend work will be the same as it would be during the week, so it's not overnight, but it will be Saturdays and Sundays from roughly 7 to 3, in addition to the Mondays through Fridays. We'll be obviously providing then heads up to the residential buildings there as well. There's Liberty Lux and Liberty Green, which sit right over the ball fields on the ball field walkway. So that's what we were looking at on the ball fields. Gateway QRS extension, we talked about a little bit earlier, but we had the opportunity to discuss it last night as well as the Gateway Tenants Annual meeting. But very, very pleased to partner with the local elected officials and the Gateway Tenants Association and the FRAC to announce the agreement of the extension of the QRS program through 2069. So it's another 43 years of predictability and stability for longtime Battery Park City residents and longtime Gateway residents. So those who were in the building prior to 2009. Really, really happy to kind of be able to bring this home thanks to the advocacy of the Tenants Association, our elected officials, and the leadership of our board. President and CEO, really glad to be able to bring this home for the folks who have called Battery Park City home so long. So really nice opportunity to move the ball. And Justine, I know you're listening. We are rounding the bases here. We'll be trying to make some metaphors. We will be circling the wagons soon on condos. We haven't forgotten. It's a little bit more of a tougher and complex nut to crack, but we haven't forgotten about condos. We'll be back to you hopefully soon on that with Dennis and get your feedback on it. I'll run through some of the quick events, some of which Ryan touched on, but we have children's movie this weekend. We have the Moth is doing the Community Story Slam on Tuesday. Then we have our immigrant film series next Thursday. Urban Naturalist, which Ryan touched on a little bit earlier, that's on the 13th. We have our Pub and Company, the Box Cutter Collective on the 20th, and then we have our Spring Equinox Bilingual Nature Walk on the 21st. That rounds up the month of March for our large events. And then I just threw a reminder down here about the Wagner Park lawn being open on non-inclement days during winter. Haven't been a lot of those recently with the melting snow and the heavy rain. But to the extent that we can open the lawn on those days in the winter when it's not otherwise inclement, we will. And by the time I come to you next in April, we will be at that point then, but a week or so away from opening the lawns for the summer season anyway. So looking okay there. And then just a quick note that the Governor Hochul, as part of her State of the State address earlier this year, announced Express NY, which is an effort to make New York State a little less burdensome for folks who want to start a business or have different ideas about regulations and policies. And as part of that, she's launched which is called a call for ideas from stakeholders across New York. This is for anyone to look into, provide their ideas. I provided the link there. And you can submit your ideas and recommendations using the online portal by April 3rd. So just wanted to give a plug there as well for the governor. She aims to scale back some of these otherwise burdensome processes and policies and make New York work better for everybody. So I linked that there as well, and then that was it. It was a Pat's report at bottom. So absent any other questions, that's my report.
Any questions? I don't see any questions online. Questions in the room? Okay. So this concludes the meeting. Thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you. Thank you all. I appreciate you. Thanks, Jeff, for handling it solo with Eric and I not being there.
Thank you,
Appreciate
guys.
you.
Okay.
Good night.